What do you think happens after we die?
I'd like to think you get rewarded for all the things that you do, but reality is probably nothing.
What about the bad things? What should happen about the bad things?
Everyone's got a bad part of them. I suppose those bad things, you were put in that situation you may have been put in there for something out of your control, so you can't really be punished for that. I suppose nothing as well.
So does that mean you don't think there's any sort of creator or judge of this world?
I can't answer that question. I'd like to think there is. I'm a Catholic. I'm not a good one. I'd say there is.
If we look at the City Hall over there, do you know who built the City Hall?
No.
But someone must have, right?
Yes.
And how do you know?
Well, similar things have been built by similar people. I know someone who might have built a house. In a much bigger way, they built that.
But even more simply than that, just because it's there, right? It hasn't always been there and now it is. The fact that it has a beginning leads you to know someone built it, right?
Yeah.
We know that things with a beginning, even if we don't know who it was, when it was, how it happened, have a creator. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you then, does this universe have a beginning?
Yes.
So what does it have?
Yeah, I don't know what it has.
A creator?
If I could answer that question confidently, I'd not be here.
What do you mean?
Well, if anyone was smart enough to say, give you an answer to that confidently, they should be running this place, you know?
But why aren't you confident? Because we know bins have makers, houses, cars, phones, clothes, buildings, everything that has a beginning that you've ever seen has a creator. So why would the universe be different?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Here's what I'd put before you. I don't think it's a lack of information or lack of evidence. I think we desire there not to be a creator, and I think this stems back from your first two answers. If you think back to what you said, you don't think there's reward for the evil and you don't think there's punishment for the bad. But if we were to look at your life, do you think how many wrong things do you think you've done?
As much as everyone else.
And how many might that be?
Thousands.
Put it even this simply. If we'd done 5 wrong things an hour, and I'm assuming you're early 20s, but 5 wrong things an hour, that means we've done over 1 million wrong things in our life.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
And think about that. If God is good, what must a good God do to bad people?
No one that I can conceive is in the decision, has the right to make that decision.
What about God? He'd have that right, wouldn't he?
Stems back to my earlier answer. I don't know if there is a God.
See, here's the point. I think we're scared of the implications of a God. We don't want there to be a being that is good and must judge evil, because that means we're in big trouble, right? Maybe to explain this out a little bit, for example, do you think you've ever told a lie?
Yes, everyone lies.
And how many lies do you think you've told?
How many lies have you told?
I can't count, right?
Exactly right.
Right. What about stealing? Do you think you've ever stolen anything?
To someone, they might have thought I'd stolen something off them. I don't think I've stolen.
Downloading stuff from the internet without paying for it?
Well, by that definition of stolen, but there's also a different definition where, information is freely available, therefore it's for everybody.
Well, what about like TV shows, movies, stuff that you were meant to pay for that you pirated? Have you ever done that?
Yes.
God says to be angry with someone is to commit murder in the heart. To insult someone is to do the same. Do you think you've ever called someone a name, been rude or angry?
Everybody does, and yes.
And one further, he says to look with sexual desire, to have sex before marriage is to commit adultery with that person in your heart. That including watching pornography and that sort of stuff. Do you think you've ever done that before?
Everybody does. Yes.
So here's the problem. And the everybody does, yes, it lessens the blow, but the reality is on Judgment Day, we're not going to be standing in a whole pack where everybody gets judged, right? We're individually being judged. And the problem is, if we look at our lives as individuals, we're before God lying, thieving, murderous, adulterers at heart. To any good God.
Assuming they... Yes. Yeah, exactly right. To any good God. Yeah.
So do you see the problem? Your disbelief in God isn't a lack of evidence. It's a desire not to be guilty, a desire to live your own way. Who do you know that is perfect? Who loves you enough to pay for your sin?
Personally, I don't know anybody like that.
Except for God. So what did God do to pay for your sin?
Jesus Christ died on the cross.
God came, God lived perfectly, God died the death your sin deserves, paid the hell punishment you deserve, and rose from the grave. He's paid for it. It's a gift. How do you receive a gift?
By taking it. Say thank you. Yeah.
So Jesus, obviously, his gift isn't physical, so he says you accept it by believing in him, trusting that he's paid for it, right? That's what Jesus asks you to do. He says, yes, you're guilty. Yes, you deserve judgment, but he pays the penalty your sin deserves, offers you forgiveness as a gift. And if you trust that he paid for it on that cross, if you rely on his death on the cross to pay for your sin, you can walk free. Justice is satisfied, but you're forgiven. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let me ask you, if Jesus pays for your sin, where do you go after you die? Heaven or hell?
Heaven.
And how do you receive the forgiveness Jesus has paid for?
You believe it and then you accept it.
So imagine this today. You've realised you're guilty, you believe in Jesus, you accept his gift of forgiveness, and on your way home you do one more sin, you die a couple of minutes later. Where would God send you, heaven or hell?
Still heaven.
Yeah, why?
Because Jesus died on the cross.
Exactly. So when are you going to trust that Jesus paid for your sin?
I don't know.